Well, hi again, everybody, and welcome to this very special sports presentation as part of AM 930 WEOL and the Chronicle Telegram. Tim Alcorn, along with AM 930, and Shaun Bennett from the CT. Each and every week, we will bring you this wrestling video, courtesy of our good friends at the Cobos Insurance Center in Elyria. So a great big thank you goes out to Bob Cobos and everybody at the Cobos Insurance Center, one of the longtime supporters of high school wrestling here in the Lorain County area. Shaun Bennett, great to be with you again. It seems like just yesterday that you and I were talking about the 2016-2017 high school wrestling campaign, and yet here we are again, and obviously this year will be on the video side as well as the radio side of things, but boy, the 2017-2018 season is already underway.
Yeah, we had a great weekend. Pretty much all the Lorain County teams were in action this weekend. We had 4 big tournaments. Leary had Parkersburg, one of the powerful schools in West Virginia, come up for a dual meet. A lot of good action on the mats. We had champions. Got to see a lot of those guys this weekend, and a lot of guys from the past, big names from Lorain County Wrestling. For a little more solemn occasion, we had Ron Burnett's Celebration of Life, kind of a memorial out in Oberlin this weekend. So I get to see a lot of guys for that as well. So that was kind of a not fun, but kind of a nice event to get to see some of those guys.
As you said, a celebration of life as far as how many wrestlers and just how many lives he impacted as far as the Lorain County wrestling scene is concerned.
Yeah, he was pretty much the premier youth wrestling authority probably for the last 3 decades here in Lorain County.
Wow.
Some of the best names, some of the biggest names. You're talking guys like Logan Stieber, who won 4 state championships at Monroeville High School, went on to win 4 NCAA titles, and then won a world championship with Team USA, the Olympic team. One of the best and brightest in Olympic wrestling over the last 2 or 3 years since he's graduated from Ohio State. He all started all his fundamentals right there with Ron Burnett. Just name after name after name. They've got a long list. I take up the whole video to talk about some of the guys that he's done. But yeah, it was really, really impressive event. Really nice to see some of the emotional responses from some of the people telling their stories about Ron Burnett.
And it's interesting, Shaun, talking about Ron Burnett and really high school coaches at any sport at any level. It just shows the impact that they have on young people's lives, whether it's young guys on the wrestling mat or the football field or the basketball floor or girls playing volleyball or softball. These coaches have a huge impact on lives.
Yeah, and that's what they get into it for. They get into it so they want to turn girls into women and boys into men. They want to help them develop life skills and make them better people. And that's why I applaud these coaches, whoever it may be. They get into it not for, believe me, it's not for the money. They don't get paid a lot for what they do, but they enjoy doing it because it's their parents, their teachers, and it's the same type of thing. They're in these mentoring roles, and that's you really see that the best of them. It's impressive what they do with these people that are under their charge.
Yeah, the passion that they bring to their individual sports. Well, Shaun, let's get back to opening weekend. Any individual standouts, any young men on the mats that kind of really made their mark in the opening weekend, whether it's a veteran wrestler coming back or perhaps a newcomer?
Yeah, we had, like I said, we had a lot of people in action this weekend, a lot of schools, a lot of individuals. We had a handful of champions. Our premier event in Lorain County every year to kick off the season is the Knights of Columbia Invitational out in, or Knights of Columbus Invitational out in Avon Lake. We have several, I think like 7 schools from Lorain County in that one. We had 5 champions from our county schools take place in that. So 2 of them were from Amherst, one very much expected, Matt Lee.
Matt Lee.
We've talked about Matt Lee. He was, All-Ohio performer, lineman in football. He had a 6-0 record at the Avon Lake tournament this week. 6 pins, spent 2 minutes and 51 seconds on the mat all weekend. So he did not waste any time in winning that championship for the 285-pound class. His teammate Adam Loff also won at 120 pounds. And I said that Tyler Bath from Vermilion, Mason Wright from Wellington, they're state ranked. They also won titles. The one that kind of impressed me was from Avon. We had a freshman out there, Cale Sexton, who went 6-0 and won the 106-pound weight class championship. Cale Sexton was a Fargo National qualifier, so it's not unheard of, but still, a freshman to come in and debut during his high school first weekend of the high school season of his high school career and to go undefeated and win a title, that was super impressive.
Sean, I was just going to say, no matter how much you wrestle as a boy, as a kid, or at the middle school level, there's still a different level of pressure that comes when you wrestle at the high school level. So that's all the more impressive.
Well, yeah, because you're not wrestling up until that point. You're wrestling in age groups and in weight classes. Well, you still wrestle in the weight classes, but you're now potentially wrestling seniors, guys that are 4 years older than you. 3 or 4 years older than you that have all that extra experience. So, it's definitely something that you don't see. It's a huge jump to go from a middle school to a high school type level, and that's what you'll hear from every wrestler out there.
Any particular schools that kind of jumped out at you, Sean?
Well, Amherst obviously had a nice showing. They finished as runner-up to Bay in that event, but they do well there every year. They're going to Bob Bailey next year, where they've won that event, I think, 2 or 3 of the last times they've competed in it. So I think Amherst definitely had a nice showing. Lorain actually in their event, the Lorain tip-off, they finished 4th out of 21 teams out there at the Lorain kickoff. So they looked good too, because Lorain, we weren't sure. They had only had one district qualifier come back from last year, Brando and Cherokee, and they definitely had a nice showing at their host event as well.
Again, we're talking high school wrestling as part of our weekly wrestling video. It's new, courtesy of AM 930 WEOL and the Chronicle Telegram, and again, the Cobos Insurance Center. So, Sean, what's coming up this weekend?
Well, the Elyria will be at the Ironman. That's the premier high school event. Ironman brings in about 30 to 40 states worth of top power schools.
Wow.
They have nationally ranked. They have national rankings for high school teams and individuals. And I'd say probably 30 to 40 of the top 50 nationally ranked programs will be at the Ironman at the Walsh Jesuit event this weekend. So that's high end.
And I was just going to say, we really didn't touch on any of the Elyria individual wrestlers. Boy, Eric Burnett, he's got another stacked lineup again this year.
Yeah, well, obviously they dispatched Parkersburg 65-15. They won 11 of 16 weight classes in that dual meet. That's a pretty impressive opening weekend for them. And then one of their top wrestlers, Dylan Shaver, who's nationally ranked right now, he's 13th in the nation at his weight class, actually wrestled with the B team at the Lorain event, and he won that event. He went undefeated at the Lorain event as well. They actually have 2 nationally ranked guys on their in their program right now. So Brendan Fenton, who is going for his third state title, he's also nationally ranked as well. So yeah, Elyria off to a good start as expected. But Ironman is a true test. Elyria has finished top 10 multiple times, but they've never won that event. So they would like to go in there and really make some noise next weekend.
Any particular logistics as far as the Ironman, where it is and what days and times and so forth?
It'll be Friday and Saturday at Walsh Jesuit. They start early on Friday. They go all. You're talking brackets of. Anywhere from like in the hundreds of wrestlers sometimes. Well, it's probably like 64-man brackets, but there's like sometimes more than that. They have to do like what they call rat tail wrestle-in matches, where they basically wrestle to get into the bracket type of thing. So there's a lot of wrestlers out there. It takes a long time to put those brackets together and wrestle those matches.
So aside from the Ironman, anything else this weekend that we should keep an eye on?
Yeah, there's a handful of good tournaments that local teams and individuals will be involved in. Columbia will be at the North Coast Classic in Independence. Lorain's going to be at the Riverside Rumble at Painesville Riverside. Amherst and Wellington will be out at the Bob Bailey at Bellevue, which I alluded to earlier. Brookside and Oberlin at the Red Wrestling Invitational at Cuyahoga Heights. Elyria's white team, I believe is what it's called, the B team. They will be with North Ridgeville at the Mike Lewis at Buckeye High School. And then Vermilion will be at the Clear Fork Super Duels, which is kind of a unique tournament, whereas instead of doing the individual brackets like most tournaments are set up, teams will wrestle teams in round robin format, and basically it's all 14 against all 14, and then they advance in that way. So instead of individuals going at it, it's actually team versus team. Now
we got about a minute left. I just want to ask you. I'm a radio guy.
Okay.
You're a newspaper guy. What do you think of this weekly thing being on a video?
I like watching videos, so I guess, I'm hoping that it'll be okay. But, yeah, as far as me being starring in one, I'll get on YouTube and watch a handful of videos, and I like that kind of thing. But, yeah, I don't know if I'm so keen on me being the focus of other people watching. But, yeah, it's another way to get wrestling out there into the spotlight, and I enjoy that. I like being able to push the sport forward. And I think Lorain County, I don't think nationally anybody does, 8-page preview sections like the Chronicle does. 3-hour live radio show and weekly radio shows, updates like WOL does. And, I think we're doing a little more than pretty much anybody in this country does for high school wrestling. So I'm proud of that, and it's easy to do because I'm passionate about the sport and I love, I'm energized by it. So I enjoy doing that kind of thing.
Gee, I wouldn't know you're passionate about this sport just the way you sit here and talk about it. It's awesome. And as Shaun said, not only a weekly video as part of WEOL.com and our Facebook page and the Chronicle Telegram's Facebook page and website, but a weekly radio show as well, courtesy of the Cobos Insurance Center and Century 21 Realty. So if you don't catch us every week on the video, you can catch us every Thursday night at 6 o'clock on WEOL as far as the radio side is concerned. So you're right. We've got high school wrestling covered, no doubt about it, aside from what you do in the CT just in print.
Right. I'm working hard this week because our 8-page preview will be out this Friday. So we're going to have a bunch of wrestler features in there. We'll have team capsules on all the local teams. We're going to do it up. It's going to be a lot of fun. And again, that's the wrestling in the community that steps forward and demands that. We have a lot of the same businesses are advertising in that, so they really want to see wrestling, at the forefront, which I'm happy to do.
Absolutely. Great stuff. We'd be remiss if we didn't thank Bruce Bishop behind the camera, by the way. He's normally talking during the football videos. It's good to talk to you, Shaun.
Ouch.
Well, again, thanks to Bruce. Shaun, thanks to you. Look forward to doing this each and every week. And, of course, a great big thank you to Bob Cobos and everybody over at the Cobos Insurance Center for bringing you this weekly video throughout the wrestling season. Again, courtesy of AM 930 WEOL and the Chronicle Telegram.